Hello everyone, welcome back to the Books of Morgan, or welcome to for the very first time. I'm Morgan, and today I'm going to be doing my spring book haul. Now, I don't buy books often enough to warrant a monthly book haul, so I've decided I'm going to do a book haul every season. So this will be my spring book haul, even though it's kind of winter. So these are all the books that I purchased from in January, February, and now March. I only have 16 books to show you, and that sounds like a lot, but in comparison to other booktubers, I'm not going to name names, but I think this is like a very small amount of books to show everyone, because I know there's people who haul like 16 books every month, whereas for me it's like once every 3 months. So I have a variety of different books that I want to show you. So I have my book of the month books that I've gotten, I have thrift store books, and I have book club books and just random books that I've purchased along the way. I've read some of these already and some of them I have not, but I'll tell you which ones I've read when we get to them. I think I'm going to start off with like my basic acquired books. These are nothing special. I think I got all of these books from Amazon actually, because 2-day shipping, you can't beat it, even though Amazon is evil and I recognize that. But if you're purchasing books, this is a very cheap way to do it. I do support small bookstores and stuff, but for me, financially, as a college student, Amazon is pretty decent for books. Yeah, I'm going to start with those purchases. The first book I got from Amazon is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I originally bought this book because I thought I was going to read it over spring break, but then I actually decided I was going to choose this book for my March book club pick. So I'm in a book club with my cousin and a couple of other people, and it was my turn to choose the book this month, and I chose this one. I've already read it. I actually finished it a couple days ago. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book that I've ever read. I think it's a little misleading because Reese Witherspoon's blurb is saying that it's beautifully written and incredibly funny and charming and all this stuff, and it is funny, but it's also super dark. So I just want to put that out there. It's not like a super light read. It definitely has some dark moments. She talks a lot about childhood traumas. If you are triggered for sexual assault, child neglect, child abuse, that all happens in this book, so just be wary. It wasn't a bad book, it just wasn't for me. I thought it was a little too dark for my tastes, and I thought it was going to be light and fluffy, so yeah, definitely go into this with different expectations than you might have thought. Overall, it's a good book. Yeah, I bought this from Amazon. The next book that I got, I also have already read, and this was part of a buddy read that I did with my friend Savannah, who also has a booktube channel. Her channel is Reading in Room 301. We buddy read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. So we read this, I think, the second week of March. Yeah. And we both didn't really care for this book. There's a lot of issues with it. I think they were trying to do too many things in like 300 pages, and it just didn't come off as great. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. I could see how other people might enjoy this book, but for me it was a mess. And I think the same thing with Savannah. We both agree that it has some problems that need to be rectified. I think that if it had a better editor, I think it would be much better. But yeah, this is another book that I bought from Amazon. Okay, the next book I have not read, but I know it is a booktube favorite. It is on my TBR for the month of March, so maybe I'll get to this eventually. And that is The Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams, or Alyssa K. Adams. Yeah, everyone loves this book. It's a smutty romance book about some guys on a baseball team, and I think they're having troubles with their marriages, so they form a book club to read like smutty books and get some tips from that, I think. I've heard nothing but great things about this one, and I love smut, so I am hoping I enjoy this too. I hope it's not super cheesy, but yeah. The next book that I got that I was planning on reading over spring break but then didn't actually do, that is American Royals by Catherine McGee. This is like if America had a monarchy and this is the royal family. It's contemporary fiction. I think there's some romance in it. I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't. It's a royal family. If there's no royal wedding in this, like, I'm just gonna give up in life. But I thought the premise sounded really interesting. I've heard really good things about this book, and I think it's actually a series. There's going to be a sequel coming out this year, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd like to read it and see what I think of it. I'm obsessed with the British royals, so I think it would be really fun to read an American version of that. Fictitious, obviously, but I thought this would be a really fun book to read at some point. The next book that I got from Amazon is a recent purchase that I made because over spring break, so the first week of March, I read Outlander by Diana Gabaldon for the very first time, and I loved it. Like, I'm obsessed with Outlander. It is so good, and if you have not read it, please go do yourself a favor and read it because it's amazing. So as soon as I got home, I purchased Dragonfly and Amber, which is the sequel to Outlander. I know these are really big books, but I'm telling you, you can fly through them because they're just so well written and so compelling. Oh my goodness, there's so many great things in this book and I love it so much. Well, I haven't read this one yet, but in the first book, it's just so amazing. I mean, Scotland, hot, like Highlanders, time travel, like it is so good. I am obsessed with the series and everyone should read it because it's so good. And the smut is 10 out of 10, let me tell you. If you enjoy the TV series, you will definitely enjoy these books because they are way more detailed. I think you see a lot more development between Claire and Jamie's relationship. It's just like so much more fulfilling than the TV. But Sam Heughan is great, so I don't blame you if you want to watch the TV series. But he's still great. Jamie's still great in this book too, so oh, so good. I'm so excited to read that. Like, I don't know. I know it's a big book and I don't have time to read it, but I want to read it so badly. But now that we're on the topic of my spring break, my roommate and I actually did some book shopping when we were there. We went to a couple of Goodwill stores and I saw these when we were driving around. So Florida, or at least the community that I was in, has specific Goodwill bookstores. So my theory is that a lot of people come to Florida, they bring their beach reads, their vacation reads, and then they don't want to bring it back in their suitcase, they finish reading it, so then they drop it off at these Goodwill donation centers. And then all of a sudden they have these like literal bookstores of just like people's old vacation reads, and they're so cheap, and they have like bestsellers, like they have recent reads that people have brought. I was just amazed at the existence of this place. So I made my roommate go to one of these. I mean, she wanted to go too because she likes reading too, but I purchased 2 books and she purchased 2 books, but I wanted to show you her purchases too because I want to read them too. So the first book that I got is actually The Last Werewolf by Glenn Duncan. Also, side note, all these books were like $3 or less, so that's a deal. Anyways, I got The Last Werewolf by Glenn Duncan. I just thought this okay, honestly, I bought this book because of the author photo. So I'm gonna show it to you guys. I mean, he just looks like a really cool dude. I was intrigued by that alone. And this seems like a really goth, like, emo boy wrote this book, and it's about a werewolf who thinks he's the last werewolf in the world because they're a dying out, like, species, and he thinks he's the last one, but then he realizes there's another werewolf around, and then there's, like, a mystery, and he has to figure out if this werewolf is killing people, or I don't know what it is, but it's a series, it's a supernatural thriller series, and I just couldn't resist buying it because this author looks so cool and I want to be Glenn Duncan one day. So that's why I got that one. And then the other book that I got at Goodwill is Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall. This is a YA fantasy series, and I think it's a retelling of Robin Hood, but gender swapped. So it's like a female Robin Hood is set in like a fantasy world / kingdom world thing. Anyways, it was $2. I was intrigued by a Robin Hood gender flipped retelling fantasy thing, so that's why I got this one. And then the 2 books my roommate got, I have to show you because we have been after these books for so long. Like, we've been browsing like Book Outlet, we've been looking at like Amazon, but they were always so expensive for what they were, so we'd always held off on buying them. But when we saw them at the store, we were like, yes, we need them. And that is The Vampire Diaries. This is such an old and beloved series, and I know the books are worse than the TV show, if that is even possible, but we just had to get them. We want to read them. It's only 4 books. Each book is a bind up of the first 2. So this is volume 1 and this is volume 2. This is like the complete series. Like, this is Vampire Diaries. This is it. But they were literally only $2 each, and we're like, we need this for our apartment. We have a vampire shrine in our apartment. It's a thing. Watch my last video. You'll see it there. But yeah, we're obsessed with vampires. Team Damon all the way. It's so awesome. But I can't wait to read these. I think it's just going to be really funny to read because I'm sure they have not aged well at all. So yeah, that's why I got these. Okay, so we're done with the books that I bought from like traditional like bookstores and Amazon and stuff. But I have 2 books that I got for free. So I am very involved in the history department at my university, and in the hallway of our department there's a table and there's always free books because professors have tons of books and they want to get rid of them for new books and whatever. So I always look at their selection to see if I want anything, and I got 2 books from there. So the first book that I got is Pennsylvania History, a journal of Mid-Atlantic Studies. I don't know why I thought this would be interesting, but I like American history a lot, and Pennsylvania is one of the first original colonies, so I'm hoping that there's a lot of stuff about Quakers and the Revolution, and I don't know, maybe even some Civil War stuff in here because there was Gettysburg and stuff happening in Pennsylvania. I don't know. I just was like, yeah, I'll take this. I just thought this was funny, and I like American history, so that's why I got it. And then the next one is one of the volumes of the American Historical Review. Normally I wouldn't pick this up, but as I was flipping through it, I saw that there was an article in here about antebellum America. Yeah, it's called okay, so this is a collection of articles that like PhD people have written, and I am such a nerd. I enjoy reading some of these because I think they're really compelling and interesting and very relevant to what I study. So there's an article in here called Immunity, Capital, and Power in Antebellum New Orleans by Catherine Oliverius. So I wanted to read that article, so I just brought it home with me. I haven't read it yet, but yeah, this is free. It was just sitting on a table. So, but yeah, I wanted to read about antebellum New Orleans. I wrote a research paper about antebellum Savannah. So yeah, I thought it was relevant to my own personal interests and studies. Okay, lastly, I'm going to show you my Book of the Month picks from the last few months. I actually skipped the month of February because I wasn't interested in any of the books that were selected, but I do have books from January and March. And I'll start with my January books. The first book that I have to show you is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. This is an historical fiction fantasy novel set in 1860s London and 1840s London, so there's like 2 different time periods going on here, but it is like Victorian London. It follows oddities and curiosities, and more specifically mermaids. This is also a mystery novel, so it's very dark. I'm actually reading it right now. I'm only 100 pages in, but I'm really fascinated by this book, but it is so macabre. Like, this cover just threw me off because it's not like this beautiful, like, ethereal mermaid book. It's very like much about circuses and oddities and exhibitions and things that people would do to other people, like cutting them open and stuff. So there is a lot of discussion on cutting open corpses. If that is something that disturbs you, don't read this book. Also, I'm taking a course on London history right now, and some of the things that they're mentioning in this book are relevant to that. Like, they're talking about the Strand and Trafalgar Square, or like these random like London locations or descriptions of London that I've heard before in the past, like London smells really gross and no one wants to live in the East End because all the shit gets thrown down to the East End and it smells bad. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually historically accurate. So I'm actually enjoying this book a lot. It's just taking me a while to get through because it is so morbid in a lot of points. But I am actually really enjoying it. In my head, for the first like 75 pages, I've just been picturing this story told in like Tim Burton style. So like in my head, I'm picturing all these characters as like claymation Tim Burton characters because it's so like macabre like that. So it's just like a weird thing of me reading it that way, but really enjoying this book. Yeah, no, it's good. And then I got a couple of add-ons for January. One of them is a YA book that they have. So Book of the Month has adult selections and then YA selections, young adult. And so I wanted this book because I heard a lot of good things about it, and this is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is a Bolivian fantasy / historical fiction novel, and the cover just looks amazing. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And I think it takes place during the Bolivian Revolution, which I don't know what year that was, but they say it's about romance, mystery, fantasy, and all these great things that I love in books. So I'm very excited to get to this one. Also, the cover is gorgeous, so I had to get it. Yeah. And then another add-on that I got, which I'm kind of surprised I have this in my book haul because I read her other book and did not enjoy it, and that is, I got The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I read The Goldfinch in December and hated it with a passion, so I bought this book because I think I will like it more than The Goldfinch, but we'll see. This is a modern classic. It follows a group of classics students. Yeah, so this follows a group of classics students at like a New England college or in Vermont or whatever. And I think there's like a murder or something. I don't really know what this book is about, but apparently all the characters are unlikable, which is typical Donna Tartt. So yeah, but it follows classics students. I'm a history student. We're like classic students, but better in my opinion. I'm just kidding. Actually, I always say that history students are English majors, but better. Yeah, so I thought this would be fun because pretentious kids at a New England college appeals to me for some reason. Okay, so those are my January picks, and then I also have my March picks because I told you I skipped February. So in March, I picked Writers and Lovers by Lily King. So I read Euphoria by Lily King a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw that she had a new book coming out, I had to get it because I love her writing style. I think she's brilliant. So this follows a woman writer in Massachusetts, I think, and she has a love affair with two men, and it's like basically her love triangle and being a writer and all this stuff. But I love the way that Lily King writes, so I'm really intrigued by this book. I think it's going to be amazing, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. Yeah, that is it. It also takes place in the 90s, which I guess is historical fiction, but I mean, I was born in the 90s, so whatever. That's that. Okay, the last book I have to haul is again from Book of the Month's Young Adult selection, and that is All of the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. So this is another mermaid novel. Surprise. I like mermaids. Who doesn't, honestly? Okay, I think this is like a love story between a mermaid and a pirate, and what's not to love about it, and it's YA fantasy. Also, the cover is gorgeous, so that's why I bought it. It doesn't take me much to convince me to get a mermaid book. I mean, I like mermaids, I like books. There we go. That's that. Book of the month. Okay, those are all the books that I have to show you today. If you are interested in getting any of the Book of the Month books that I've just shown you, I'll leave my referral code for you to get a Book of the Month for only $5 and free shipping. So if you're interested in that subscription service, definitely check that out. I leave it on all my videos because I think Book of the Month is a great service, and I think everyone should join it because it's phenomenal. I've gotten a few of my friends to join it. They always have really great book selections every month, so definitely check that out. And then you get hardcovers every month for $14.99 and free shipping, which is a great deal, and it's the latest, newest releases. Sometimes they have debut novels, sometimes they give you releases before they're even out in bookstores, so that is really good. Always going to give high praise to Book of the Month because I love it so much. Okay, Thank you so much for watching this book haul. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. See you later. Bye.